Welcome to a brand new series on this channel where we will be exploring the world of desserts. Because the truth is, I've always had a bit of a sweet tooth, and it's something I feel like once it's in your soul, you're not getting rid of it. And I love making desserts at home. I do it all the time, but it's something we haven't really explored on this channel. Maybe bits and pieces here and there, but we are diving deep into the world of sweets, and this is the perfect place to do it because I live in New York City, one of the most diverse food cultures in the world. So you can pretty much find any dessert you really want. Anything from around the globe, it's probably happening in New York, and that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be hitting the streets, talking to some dessert masters, exploring these things on the ground, tasting them, learning how to make them, and then of course, making them at home completely from scratch so you can learn how to make them in your very own kitchen. So let's get into the world of sweets. So for episode 1 of the Sweet Tooth series, we're gonna do a Japanese snack called the Taiyaki, which is new for me. I've never actually tried it, but I've been seeing them on Instagram. It's super popular thanks to a place called Taiyaki NYC, who has created a bit of a resurgence in the States of the Taiyaki thanks to a little creative twist that they've put on it. But because their version is, a little unique, I wanted to get a baseline version first. So I'm headed over to the only other place I've ever seen them being made, which is on 32nd Street in Koreatown. There's a little mall, like a little food court that I go to from time to time, and I've always seen these little taiyakis being made, but I never actually tried one. So we're gonna head over there first, then head over to Taiyaki NYC. So I went with the classic red bean filled taiyaki, and when I went to pay, I actually didn't hit the minimum. So I just picked another random item, and I went with the croissant dough filled cream thing. I didn't expect too much, to be honest, out of this taiyaki, but it was actually pretty damn good. I really enjoyed a surprising chewiness that I didn't expect. I thought it'd be more of just a standard waffle batter, but there was an incredible chew to it. And then the second one, the croissant taiyaki, that was kind of shit. You could definitely skip that one. So after I lost my taiyaki virginity, I headed right down the block to one of my favorite markets called H Mart, a Korean grocery store, because I knew I was gonna need a few specific ingredients for my homemade version, specifically the azuki red beans. So I picked them up and then headed down to Taiyaki NYC.
My name is Ricky Yang. I'm one of the co-founders here at Taiyaki NYC. Taiyaki NYC originated in September of 2016, and now we just opened up our 4th location.
Oh wow,
yeah,
4.
Our 4th location.
One in Williamsburg.
Mm-hmm.
Where else?
One in Williamsburg, one here in New York, Chinatown, one in Miami, Florida, and our newest one in Toronto.
Obviously, taiyaki is the original Japanese treat.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide to upgrade it or update it,
right,
whatever you want to say?
I mean, this was our thought process. Everyone loves waffles. Everyone loves ice cream. You take two things that people love, put it together, you can only do good. For me, the product really has to tie in line with the history behind it and what we're bringing into the community. So with taiyaki, back in the Edo age, it was given as a treat for prosperity, for good luck, and for celebration. So that's something that really carried meaning for us, and which is one of the reasons why we did taiyaki. So this is the traditional taiyaki. In Japan, they generally give these out, but for us, we put a little twist on it, and we give a little opening for the mouth. And essentially with that, you can swirl ice cream into it.
Okay. That's your cue, right?
Yep. It's time to take out the fish.
Wow. That's amazing. Does that ever get old?
A little.
A little. A little. I guess everything gets old, right?
Yeah, this is how they look.
So the one I'm choosing to sample is the matcha meets black sesame, a little swirl action. So that is one of the more popular ones?
Yeah, so that is actually one of the top sellers. It's called the Straight Outta Japan. It's a matcha and black sesame swirl in a red bean filled taiyaki. Then we top that off with a mochi and a wafer.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
so that's like the most Japanese thing you got in here.
Yeah, flavor-wise, definitely.
Nice, all right. Obviously, social media is a huge part of your brand. It's a big way you've kind of spread. Is that something that you guys are pushing out, or is that just a natural thing that happens?
So to quote one of my partners, actually, his name is Tom, he calls it relationship marketing. I mean, you put something on the internet and your friend sees it and says, wow, I need to do that too. So your friend now goes, they share it to their friends, their family members, and it just becomes this huge web of network.
And you think it's just naturally spreading because it's a beautiful, fun
Yeah,
product?
I think it's a very organic and organic spread. I think when people have the taiyaki, the first thing that they do, they pull out their phone.
Got it.
You know.
What would you tell people that want to start a business and maybe they're thinking, oh, I need a trendy thing that I have to start this to be successful?
To be honest, I don't know. I think you really have to believe in your product. I know the first time that we loaded our ice cream machine in with the recipe, and we made our final batch of taiyaki, and when we knew this is it.
Yeah.
And I remember that day exactly because I ate that matcha and the black sesame, and I ate the taiyaki together, and I was like, wow, this is it. This is what we're gonna open with. This is what we're gonna go with.
So that was like the aha moment.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to get there too. A lot of my partners, every Saturday morning we'd get together. We'd be doing a lot of prepping. We'd be testing, and for like half of Saturday it'd be gone due to this for a few months. And once we hit that final product, that was it. And I think a lot of people think like, oh, a picture is everything, but it's really not. I mean,
there needs to be substance.
Exactly. There has to be substance. There has to be happiness behind it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest story behind taiyaki. I mean, it's just happiness.
So obviously I would have loved to be in Japan getting an authentic taiyaki experience, but I do feel like I got a really nice baseline. With the Taiyaki NYC version, you're not going there specifically for the taiyaki. That's the overall experience, but I really did enjoy it, and I think it's an awesome product, especially with those Japanese style ice creams. They were so nice, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by the taiyaki I got in K-Town. It had a really nice chewiness to it, and I was looking stuff up in the store, and they say there's a new trend in taiyaki called white taiyaki that uses a tapioca flour, which I'll definitely be incorporating into mine just because I love those Asian style desserts that have that chewy element in them. So it's time to get back to the kitchen studio and make some homemade taiyaki. So the first thing we're gonna make for this taiyaki is the classic red bean filling. It's incredible how many different varieties of red bean filling you see on recipes and in different snack shops. It's two ingredients, it's beans and sugar, but there are so many ways to combine those to create a unique product. And I'm gonna go with a version, like a combination of a few things that I've seen to get the right consistency, the right sweetness level. And of course it all starts off with azuki beans. I had about 1.5 cups of these beans to some type of container, fill that up with water, and just let that sit overnight so they hydrate. Now what I'm gonna do is pour the beans into a pot and bring that to a boil, and you'll see some of those impurities will rise to the top, and that's the point of this process. You're gonna drain that so you get rid of some of those extra bitter flavors that you don't want in your beans. After you wash them, you're gonna add them back to a pot with about 8 cups of water. I cook those beans for about 1 hour until they are nice and soft and can break between your fingers. And then I add around 1.5 cups of sugar. And I took about 2 tablespoons of sweet rice flour, that glutinous rice flour, with 3 tablespoons of water, and mix that up just to create a little paste. And then I poured that into the bean mixture, and it's really just gonna create a nice silky smooth consistency of the beans. I cooked that for about another 15 minutes, and then you're just gonna let it cool for a bit before adding it to a food processor or a blender so we can blend that up silky smooth. Now once it's smooth, you're gonna add that to a pot, and the whole point of this is we're gonna cook it down, cook out some of that moisture. So we create a really nice consistency of our red bean paste that you're gonna be biting into in the final product. So I've been stirring it for about 25 minutes and it's getting pretty thick, as you can see. And I think I'm gonna cut it right here because it's gonna solidify, of course, when I cool it down. It's gonna be a little easier to handle. But once it goes in the molds and it heats up again, you know, this is the consistency, oops. This is the consistency I'm gonna be biting into, and I'm happy with that. So before we get into the taiyaki batter, let's talk a little bit about the history of this sweet and how it developed over time. And it all starts with another treat that actually predated the taiyaki called the imagawayaki, which first hit the scene in the Edo period around the 18th century. And it's pretty much the same thing as the taiyaki, but just much simpler. It's a circular form. So how did taiyaki develop from the imagawayaki? Well, the word taiyaki breaks down into two words. You got tai, which means sea bream, and yaki, which means baked or grilled. Sea bream is one of the more expensive fish in Japan, and it's believed to bring good luck and fortune. So tai, or sea bream, is mainly served on special occasions like New Year's or weddings or different celebrations. And because this fish is supposed to bring good luck and fortune, it's developed into a symbol in Japan, or an ornament that's used for decoration for these special events or given out as a good luck charm. So the theory goes that a Japanese snack shop changed the mold from that simple circular shape, the imagawayaki, to the tai, the sea bream shape, so they could serve it up at festivals and serve this treat that's filled with good fortune. And the trend continued to spread during the Meiji period in the 19th and 20th century in Japan, but it still remains unclear exactly where the taiyaki was created, but the general consensus is that it's between two very popular snack shops in Japan where you can still get the taiyaki today. So taiyaki was always a popular festive treat, but it didn't really explode onto the scene in Japan until 1978, thanks to a popular children's song called Oyogi Taiyaki Kun, which translates to swim taiyaki. And the song was about a taiyaki that escaped from the batter and returns to the ocean after an argument with the chef. But this children's song actually became the most popular song ever in Japan, selling millions of records, obviously just exploding the taiyaki on the scene. When it comes to the batter for the taiyaki, the classic is like a waffle batter. It's pretty standard ingredients, but like I said before, I really like the chewiness that you get in a lot of Asian desserts, and that's what I had in that original taiyaki that I tried. It definitely had some type of glutinous rice flour or tapioca flour, so I picked up some tapioca flour at H Mart, and I'm gonna be incorporating that into the batter. But first we're gonna start off with our wet ingredients. So we add 1 cup of warm milk with 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And I want to give a quick shout out to Chef Iso and his recipe blog. I took a lot of inspiration from his batter, and I love just that addition of soy sauce, that little savory element. So go check out, he's doing a lot of dessert stuff, so I might be getting some help from him in the future as well. But back to the recipe, we are moving on to the creaming of the butter. So we're gonna add about 3/4 cups of soft butter with 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/4 cup of white sugar, and just cream that together until it is nice and fluffy and soft. And now we're gonna sift in our flour. So I'm using equal parts all-purpose flour and tapioca flour, about 1 cup each, and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder, which will help just fluff them up a little bit in the waffle iron, and just mix all of those ingredients well. And I actually forgot to incorporate the eggs a little earlier on, but it's never too late to throw in a few eggs. So I'm just gonna crack 2 eggs into the batter and mix that up until it is nice and smooth.
Oh boy, that is a better size funnel for what
see what we got in here. What is this? What is... Yes. Wow. Yes. Before it turns into a taiyaki factory in this kitchen, I wanted to taste this one and, you know, see where we're at, see where we could possibly improve with the ratios. I do like the ratios here. This one's almost a little more savory. Like, you really get the beaniness of the azuki beans. I don't know, I feel like it's less sugary in this one, which I like. It's just a little different for sure. I'm getting used to it as I eat this thing. So that does it for episode 1 of Sweet Tooth, and I gotta say I'm really happy with the final taiyaki product. And when I first tasted it, I was a little confused because it was much different than, you know, the store-bought version. But I realized it's just like a more savory version. It's less sweet. I feel like when you get them in the stores, it is more of that, you know, festive experience. You only get them once in a while, so they're super sweet. They're pretty intense. You're not gonna eat them all the time, but I've been crushing these things. It's got that savory bean filling, and they're not as sweet, so you can eat more of them. So big success over here with my first dessert. I've been giving these out to a lot of people, and they seem to really be enjoying them. And of course, if you don't have the mold, you can use the ingredients in different styles. It's still gonna be delicious, but make sure you follow me on my Instagram at Life by Mike G, because I'm always teasing out new episodes. I'm giving away prizes, and you can also hit me up directly through my Instagram if you have any ideas for this series. You can DM me there if you've got a special idea, special dessert from wherever you live. So I will see you next time on episode 2.